شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل كما جاء في محكم التنزيل: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. Dear brothers and sisters, we always praise, an abundant praise and gratitude towards our beloved provider, creator, sustainer that has surrounded us with His mercy. And as those who live here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we are living a better life than most people. We should never forget that. And we should realize the responsibility we carry in using our blessings to the greatest benefit of our hereafter. I want to talk to you about the reality we find ourselves in right now. Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ أَن تُؤْتَى رُخُصًا كَمَا يُحِبُّ أَن تُؤْتَى عَزَائِمًا. That Allah loves that when He gives a permission, when He makes something easy on you, that you take that. You know, one of the brothers asked me, he said, it just doesn't feel right, you know, if I'm traveling, I want to fast. I told him in Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ said, لَيْسَ مِنَ الْبِرِّ الصِّيَامُ فِي السَّفَرِ. It is not righteousness that you are fasting while traveling. He was like, MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. Why? Because He gave you the permission. Let's not be more strict than what He was asking of us. Now on the other side of it, He said He loves that whenever He asks you to buckle down and dig deep into your soul for spirituality, that you will do that. And we find ourselves on the doorsteps of that most significant part of the year, that most deep spiritual connection and value that we can get of the whole entire year. It is when that light came down to the earth and it flooded the earth and spread to the corners of the earth, and it will shine its light and be accessible to all people until the last day. That's the night we're talking about. It is the night in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet, told the angel Gabriel to go to the preserved tablet of divine knowledge. Take this book and bring it down to the lower heavens and start giving it to this man, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the night of magnitude, the night of greatness, the night of consequence. All of the affairs of the next year, the angels have been given them. It is a night that the Holy Quran tells us, if you really want to understand its value for you, it's better than 1,000 months. 84 years. Now as a believer, we should take this opportunity. If one of your employers said, if you come on this day, at this time to work, I'm going to multiply your salary by 1,000. What would you do? So this is where we find ourselves, the blessed night of mercy. So the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were praying one night, and the Prophet ﷺ came out, and he says, I was going out to tell them what night this night is, because the angel Gabriel had told me. And I came into the mosque, pay close attention. فَتَلَاحَى رَجُلَانِ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ فرفعت فعسى أن يكون خيرا لكم فالتمسوها في التاسعة أو السابعة أو الخامسة. So it said that in Ramadan, the Prophet ﷺ, he comes into the mosque with the knowledge of which day is which night is Laylatul Qadr. And two brothers were arguing and fighting. فَتَخَاصَمَا تنازع. And because of that, Allah removed that blessing from knowing exactly which night it is. So then the Prophet said, hopefully there is good in this for all of us. So seek this night in the 29th, in the 27th, in the 25th. And in the Sahih al-Bukhari he said, التمسوها في العشر الأواخر من رمضان وترا. Try to realize the great value of this night of greatness, of magnitude, in the last 10 nights, on the odd nights. Now, some Muslims are sitting here going, but I thought it was the 27th. There are human beings who claimed they felt that it was the 27th. They're not prophets. It wasn't a revelation. Nothing in our revelation. What we know when we say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what we know from the Quran and from the Sunnah only is that it's somewhere in the odd nights in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So now we find ourselves, tomorrow night is that great opportunity. We find ourselves right now in that moment. Said, كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يجتهد في العشر الأواخر ما لا يجتهد في غيرها. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم buckled down and was so devoted and spiritually connected in these last 10 nights like no other nights of the year. So say, well, that's the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let's take a look at his example. Because Imam al-Sha'bi, one of the great mufassirin from the Tabi'in in Iraq, he said, it was on that night that it was brought down from the preserved scroll, the Lawh al-Mahfuz, and then on that same night, the first five verses were revealed. So I want to talk to you about the story that will give you an example of how we here in Tulsa, Oklahoma today can properly observe, grow, and develop our faith. Many people say, I'm struggling to keep my faith. I'm struggling to keep my strong character and my worship and all of those things up. We live in a very tough time and circumstances. So, there was a young man named Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was born and raised in a society called Mecca. And this society was filled with idol worship. It was filled with various forms of oppression, oppressing slaves, oppressing weak people from different tribes, oppressing the women, all kinds of oppression. Alcohol was common. There were bars on every corner in Mecca. Fornication was common. Gambling was daily. Superstition and folklore was all over the place. You could say the prevalence of these immoralities in Mecca in the time of the Prophet ﷺ were probably more than most Western country cities today. So this man Muhammad ﷺ, he started looking at things. He didn't get caught up in the hamster wheel. My dear brothers and sisters, I bring this up because it is the truth. Shaitan has developed a hamster wheel for every single one of us. What does that mean? He gets in there, he keeps running. He doesn't go anywhere, he just stays in the same spot. Right? And so with work, with entertainment, with certain things and responsibilities and bills to pay, we get caught up in a daily regimen, and then the environment that we live in influences us. So what this man Muhammad ﷺ did, he started questioning his society, the culture he was raised in, the attitudes and the practices of the people around him. And he started to think, this isn't right. I need to take a step back. So he said, you know what, I'm going to go up in that cave and I'm just going to meditate and think about my Creator, and I'm just going to pray to Him. Hopefully He will guide me. So he would sit up in this mountain of light, in this cave of Hira. And he would sit there. He would look out and see Mecca, and he would see the creation, the horizon. And he would just say, I need help. There must be a way to make our lives better. One day, while he's sitting there, after he had been there for some time, he started to get these dreams. And then it would happen the next day. He would be walking up to this mountain and he would hear, Salamu alaikum, peace be with you. So one day he's sitting up there and this angel comes and he says, read. As any one of us who is very scared. What? I don't read. Told him again, read. I don't read. Again, read. I'm not of those reciters. That's not what I do. I've never been known for this. So then he took him closely and he said, read in the name of your Lord who created everything. See, now what was he doing? He was thinking about creation. Now was he thinking about reading? No. There's a spiritual civilization being built here. Because reading is not common all over the world at this time. So he's saying, read in the name of your Lord who created. He created the human being from just a clot of blood clinging to the womb of the mother. Read and your Lord is most generous. So he's saying, if you read in general a lot, then you will get many blessings. Like if we think the value of reading and writing, it is basically the source of all of our growth and progress as a people, isn't it? Yes. So that's what he's telling us. Don't just read one subject. Don't just read from one author. Read. And the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, this book starts to come to them. And so then he talks about how this usage of a pen can teach us so much that we do not know. So the Prophet ﷺ is very scared. He goes down to his wife Khadija. I don't know what just happened. I'm scared. I've been afflicted with something. Very humble. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. She said, no. You're an honest person, a just person. You take care of your guests. You're always helping the needy and the poor. Everybody respects you. God would never allow anything to happen to you. He would never allow any harm to come to you. So then he kept going back to this cave, but there wasn't anything. One day he's going outside and then he sees this big old giant throne with an angel sitting on it with giant wings. And then he says, Ya ayyuhal muddathir. Pay attention to this one. Because the Prophet got scared. And he's still not interacting with most people. He's just at home with his family. And then he goes up into this cave. Ya ayyuhal muddathir. The one who got scared. The one who feels that this reality you're living in is difficult to deal with. And the responsibility you've been given is very heavy. Stand up. Go mingle with the people. Interact with them. Let them know our morality is eternally in our scale. Warn people that we will be accounted for what we do. Exalt your Lord. Let people know God is great. He is the source of everything. And avoid the sin and corruption and idol worship. And purify yourself and your surroundings from all of the evil and filth. So that is the beginning. So then a verse comes shortly after that. وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. And warn your close family and friends. So the Prophet ﷺ, he starts talking to people and his family. He starts talking to them about this message that he's been given. So there formed a group of believers. And they didn't just say, well, we'll just stay at our home and whatever we learned, we'll figure that out. They nightly, daily, they went to this house of this man named Arqam. Every single day. What was their purpose? To socialize? No. Their purpose was spiritual growth and development. They knew, look, they knew by this revelation that the way the Prophet started, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may be good for an individual to clear out their mind, a little retreat and alone. But in this message, we have to mingle with the people. We can't stay separated. We can't stay secluded or exclusive. We have to be amongst the people. We have to interact. We have to be in the city, in the village, among the people. So they went to this house called Arqam, and they were there. Now, at this time, pay close attention, because what I'm telling you is what they did, we can do. That's what I'm telling you. At that time, they all have families. Wives, husband, children, jobs, responsibilities. Some people make it out like they're monks or something. No, no such thing as monks in Islam. Just like you, human beings, but dedicated human beings. So then when they made their migration, they formed the mosque. Every day, people were going to the mosque regularly for various kinds of spiritual growth and development, whether it be to learn something, whether it be to connect with the believers and get to know them, whether it be to talk about the affairs of society and how they can fix them, how they can help, where they can get involved. That's what it was. It was this gravitational place. It was their cave of Hira on the mountain of light that was continuing in the community for the collective. You see, right now we see in this story the example of how we truly build faith in our lives. The faith that we claim when we make our declaration is basically saying that we love the Prophet ﷺ, and we are certain that that message that came to him in the Quran and what Gabriel told him, we're going to follow that lifestyle. That's what we're saying. So what did the Prophet ﷺ do? He taught us that if you're going to claim faith, it can truly be embraced only in one way. That the first step of us truly embracing our faith is to take a look back and the environments that we've lived in and how they've affected us and what kind of corruption may be therein, whether a Muslim or a non-Muslim environment. What kind of things are pure Islam and what kind of things are not Islam or exaggerated Islam, and that we purify ourselves through the revelation. But how is that done? We go to a safe place to retreat, to get away from our surroundings, where we go purely for spiritual growth and development. See, the Prophet ﷺ's companions were of various tribes, kind of like nationalities. They were that separated. But their growth taught them that Islam is a very spiritual reality that sees no ethnicity or color. So they came together in the mosque and they all genuinely got to know each other regularly, every day. Somebody might say, well, I'm having a hard time. You can come a few days, but for sure, what we know for sure, without a question, we know that that generation of people with families and jobs, those people knew from the prophetic example from the Holy Quran, the only way we will succeed in actualizing our faith is that we retreat from the immoralities that surround us in our daily lives, that we reflect upon our environments and how they influence us, and we go to a special place so that we can get together with others to build spiritually. That's the model. So for only just one day a week to come, it's basically detaching ourselves from that example that we learned from the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. The model of the one day a week spirituality, where did it come from? It came from the Christians. It came from the Christians. Sunday. Should we embrace that? Lakum dinukum waliya din. Right? When we talk about where we've been influenced, it's not just here. We say, is it just here in America where Christians are that most Muslims only go to the mosque one day a week? Or where is that found? All over the world. My proof is we have to reassess all environmental influences and where they've come from. And not just assume, well, because the way I was in my Muslim country, everything must be right. The Prophet ﷺ never suggested things must be right just because that's what people are doing. So it's important for us to invest ourselves, our time, our wealth, our focus on being part of the institution in which we can all spiritually grow together. Why? Because we're saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. When we say that, we're saying, his example is the best example. I want to be like him. Shaitan's going to come and say, oh, you've got things to do. You've got other things you need to do. There's other priorities and responsibilities. Shaitan's going to say, yeah, they're asking all this money, but how does that affect me? What do I gain out of that? It's not my bills. That's Shaitan's plan. Allah's plan is build the mosque, fill it with the believers, collectively join the hearts, don't divide yourselves, and build upon your knowledge of faith through studying the Quran, devoting yourself in worship, and following the example of the Prophet ﷺ. That's what we're told. But the odds are stacked against us because society across the world is not embracing that. That's not what they're embracing. So it's up to us to make this mosque here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the great example of how Islam shines its light as it did 14 centuries ago in Arabia and in many great successful communities since then. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فإنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulillah. How many of you have traveled to Hajj and then went out to see the Mountain of Light? Raise your hand. The Mountain of Light. You're not talking, it's not haram. Okay? How many of you would love to go to that place where the Prophet ﷺ sat and the angel Gabriel came to him? Raise your hand if you would like to go there. MashaAllah. The light is firm and alive and shining bright. My dear brothers and sisters, you are sitting in the mountain of light, in the cave of Hira that Allah has legislated for you. You are sitting in that place. This is that sacred place where revelation flourishes, where hearts are purified and mended, where the message soaks in, where when we leave, it radiates and illuminates the world around us. But we have to change our comfort zone to make it the way it was intended to be. This building, its value only comes in the people who invest their time, their selves, and their wealth, struggling and striving for its success. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, inspire our hearts with the example of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Allah, make this house of yours that you have given us a place that we are dedicated to you in. Ya Allah, make our hearts dedicated to this holy place of worship. Ya Allah, make this place a place where people can learn and grow and purify themselves and go out and show the world the truth of your message. Ya Allah, please make this a place where people can come and say, that is a place where I feel comfortable, I feel lifted, I feel gifted by the blessing of the divine, merciful, compassionate one. Ya Allah, we ask you to join our hearts and to not allow us to divide ourselves and be like those two men who caused the night of the Laylatul Qadr to be not known. Ya Allah, we ask you to make us to have healing and reconciliation and put our efforts towards your cause, and that we prepare for our eternity by investing ourselves in this special place you have given us. And we ask you to be with all of the other Muslim communities communities of the world and give them all of those gifts that you are giving us here. وأقم الصلاة صلى الله عليه وسلم.